Hey YouTube, it's your boy Widgie here, coming at you with some more strategy games with AoE 3DE, and today I'm bringing you another replay run-through or analysis that I like to do on a 1v1 ranked game. So this is my second, I think, I've done of this, so I hope you guys really enjoy it. So without further ado, we are just going to jump straight into it. So this is a 1v1 Dutch versus Lakota, and as you can see I'm playing as the Dutch. And this was a very interesting game. Now, unfortunately, I forgot to record it live, and Vicious and Joe were actually coaching me. Joe sort of came in halfway through, and yeah, thanks to their coaching and just their reminders to do certain things, you know, it sort of got me through this game. So without further ado, let's hit that play button and go. So I'm just going to be starting off with the normal sort of Dutch opening here. Now, I've only really been playing as Dutch for the past couple of days. On ranked ladder, I've probably played about 4 games, maybe by now, as Dutch. And the majority of the other games, maybe about another 5 or 6. So 10 games in total. The other ones have been on just sort of team games, unranked, sort of casual stuff. So I want to try and get better, and I definitely want to start to play more competitively. And in the future, I'm hoping that we can get some more sort of like more competitive games for you of me actually laddering and stuff like that, rather than me just learning civs. I will be trying to hone in on like a couple of civs that I actually like, and then we'll see what happens, and we'll see if we can climb that ladder and get a lot better. Because at the moment, I'm just below 1,000 Elo at the moment, which is still sort of, you know, very conscript sort of level, very new sort of level. But anyway, my win rate is bang on 50% now, I think, my win rate, and I've played about 80 games, which is kind of crazy. And it's about 40 wins, 40 losses. But anyway, so here you can see that I'm herding. So this is something that I'm starting to learn more and more now, especially with aggressive civs such as Lakota, who use a lot of cavalry, and they will raid and take a lot of your villages and everything. But let's just have a look at what the opening is here. So I was talking a bit there. So essentially what I tend to do is put 3 of my vills on gold, because 3 vills just on the gold mine basically ensures that you have a villager that comes out every time. The unique thing with the Dutch is that you have to spend gold for your villagers, and also you get skirmishers out in age 2, and you have access to the Reiters or Roters, or however you want to pronounce it, which are an anti-cav unit in age 3. And the really good thing about them is they only cost 1 population, so you can really mass them. And another thing is the villager population is capped at 50 for Dutch as well. So that's another reason why I like this. So guys, I would suggest maybe picking up the Dutch if you're quite new to the game. Obviously, a lot of people do recommend the French, but or the British, but the Dutch are also good because you don't have to manage tons and tons of settlers. You just sort of have to get to 50, and then you can sort of breathe a bit, and you don't have to micromanage them as much, and you're not having to juggle like 80, 90 villages and stuff like that. Which is quite good as well. It's quite a nice thing to have. So here you go. So I'm just getting a treasure down here. I believe that's a wood treasure. Wood treasures are really crucial for the Dutch, because you need food and wood to build banks. Now banks essentially will create your coins for you, so they're like a coin trickle. So they're an automatic coin gatherer that has an unlimited amount. And they originally start off, I think, don't quote me on it, I think it's about 2.75 gold per second, and then I think you can upgrade it to around 3.3, so kind of crazy. And you can get 9 banks. That's the most you can do with upgrades and stuff like that, so that's a crazy amount of gold. So you can see here Lakota have a really strong explorer, and that explorer gets stronger and stronger, I think, as they age up. I'm not too sure. It might be a card that you get, but I think I've seen explorers with over 1,000 health. Really hard to kill, and obviously they have an aura that boosts nearby units. So here you go. So I'm getting into age 2 now, so nothing really too different there, to be honest. I'm going to get the second treasure here, as you can see. Nothing has really changed at the moment, but let's just pause it for a second, come off the locked screen here. So you can see that I've actually done quite a lot of scouting here. I've scouted a vast majority of his base, and I've got my envoy here, because you start off with an envoy. The Dutch start off with a second unit that you can use to scout, and that's the envoy. And I've sort of placed him just outside of the base here because I want to see what he does. So I want to see when we're getting into this, when we're starting to age up, which is, I've sort of aged up perfectly here, around 3 minutes. I sort of want to see when he clicks into age 2, I want to just run my envoy over here and just have a look and see what he's building. What's he doing? What's he focusing on? Has he taken a trade post? And what does that mean? And this all comes with experience, and I'm very, very new to this. So, I'm not like, the other experienced players that you've probably seen on YouTube and stuff like that who can give you all these sort of guides. I'm still very, very new to the game. But you can see a vast majority of it's scouted. There is water on this map, so that's something that you need to bear in mind as well. But yeah, so clicking up into age 2 here, and I've transferred a ton of my settlers here, or my vills, onto wood. Now the reason I've done that is because I want to put down a bank as soon as possible. Because ideally with the Dutch, you kind of want to have 3 to 5 banks ready and built before you get into fortress age. Because normally with the Dutch, the most likely thing you will do is either a semi-fast fortress or a fast fortress. That's the most likely. Now, I haven't really looked into rushing with the Dutch. I think it's definitely viable, but I just haven't really seen it, to be honest, because I haven't really looked into that. I'm just trying to play the sort of, not generic, but the sort of foundation of the Civ. I'm just trying to play the basics and understand that rather than tying myself to like a build. Which a lot of people tend to do, and they get very narrow-sighted, and it's not good. It's not good. So here you go. So you can see I've got 11 people on wood here, and only 3 people now on food. I've taken a guy off of food there. You can see he's walking over to the right-hand side over here to herd some more deer, because I know that he's going to be rushing at some point, or raiding potentially, because the Lakota are well known for that. So. And our score should always really be above them, because really, like, if you compare the Dutch and the Lakota, the Dutch's economy should be way better than the Lakota pretty much all the time, because the Lakota will, primarily focus on raiding and being super aggressive, and with that, there's not as much focus around economy, getting settlers, eco upgrades, spending all that money on that. They'll rather spend their money and their resources, they'll rather spend their resources on units. So as long as we can keep above them score-wise, then we should be okay. Something that I've noticed that I'm not too sure if it's quite a slow age up for them is that we're coming up to 5 minutes and they still haven't aged up yet. So this is quite unusual. It's quite a late age up, to be honest. I would have expected them to probably age up before me, but it looks like we've aged up before them. So you can see my first bank going down here, which is good, and I'm sort of moving my vills here to food. And at this point, when you've got a bank up, if you just want to have villager production, I don't think you need 4 people on gold. You probably just need maybe 2 on gold, or maybe even just 1. So just bear that in mind. But that's something you can see. I've got some idle vills here. I put a trading post down because it was right next to me, and I thought it's probably going to be quite helpful, because the trade posts, they give you that good XP, and it might be useful to get some military shipments out if we're going to be pressured. So if I've got spare wood, why not put it down? So you can see I'm running around here. Look, perfect scouting there. I didn't even mention that. So I can't go back, unfortunately, because the replay system's kind of poor in here. But you can see there, if I just come off there, you can see that I've just done a great scout here. I've just seen he's just put down his corral, or his corral, or however you pronounce that. Basically, the stables. So I know that he's putting his military building down now. So, I should be expecting some resistance within maybe a minute, potentially, unless he's got some troops from his home city shipments. I should be expecting some pressure within a minute. So after that, I need to prepare. So, and I think off the back of this, the minute I spot it, I put down a barracks. So there you go. Great reaction. It's something like that takes time to get the hang of. I didn't notice this, that he had these outlaw blowgunners. He must have got these from a treasure. Because look at his explorer now, 750 health. Insane. So he must have got them from a treasure, because Lakota are really, really good using their explorer. Really, really strong explorer. So he must have got those from a treasure. And obviously they're being buffed by the explorer as well. So anyway, I'm just going to focus, make sure I've got a ton of wood, getting those wood shipments in. I will just show you my deck here just quickly. So just to give Aussie Drongo, I'm sure you've heard of him, some credit here. This is Aussie Drongo's 1v1 land deck. So I'm essentially using this just as a basis for now until I understand the Civ more, and then I can change things depending on the situation or the Civ that I'm playing. But yeah, so you can see here, this is the deck that I'm using. So I'm focusing around my wood shipments, making sure that I've got enough wood to get those banks up, military buildings, houses, all that sort of stuff. Now you can see here I've got 2 people chopping wood still, and I've got 1,000 wood. I don't need these guys on wood. Luckily I've taken them off now. That's good. So I've taken them off. There's no need. And it's this sort of thing as well that I'm starting to learn as well. Just constantly looking at the bottom left, looking at your pop, looking at who's gathering what, looking at what you've got too much of, too little of, and constantly moving gatherers around, you know. Anyway, there's a free bank shipments that has just come up, so I'm going to put that down. And you can see I'm getting some houses because I've realised that I've pop capped myself. And I'm just going to be herding here, I think, as well. So still got a lot of wood, 560 there, plenty of wood. And I've got more experience. I've got some skirms out there. I was a little bit nervous because I was getting skirmishers out, and I'm thinking to myself, right, he's going primarily cav. If he goes axe riders are their heavy cav, so my skirms aren't going to be very good. But if he goes the bow riders, they are the anti-cav, so skirms would be good. So you can see here, I thought to myself, should I put a trading post out there? And I think at this point I was talking to Vicious, and I went for it, and he sort of said, maybe not, and then he sort of backtracked and said, oh yeah, actually no, put it down. So I had the excess wood, so I thought I may as well use it, and I used it to get a second trading post, try and help me. Now at this point I could have used my envoy, but he got killed. But I should really at this point try and get a unit to go out there and scout, just to get an idea of what sort of mass of troops they've got, what they're going to be building. I didn't actually look at the home city shipments of my enemy here. So make sure that you always check your enemy's deck. That's what I'm trying to say. Check your enemy's deck. Always do that. That's always crucial to do. So you can get an understanding of how many military cards they've got, in what age have they got them. But here we go. Here's the pressure. Very, very scary. Look at that. You've got blowgunners at the back there that he's got from the treasury. He's got a ton of axe riders, which are going to be really good at taking my vills down. I'm a little bit slow. I lose 2 vills there, and I get them all into the TC. And I've got the skirmishers trying to focus them, but the skirmishers are really, really countered here against the axe riders. I think I lost a vill there. I did get the militiamen out, but it's not going to be enough. And I'm just trying to kite them, but I can't, so I'm going to lose those skirms. And he's attacking the militiamen. I've got a couple of pikemen out from the barracks, but I didn't have a lot of wood left, so I only had 2 pikemen, which was a shame. So always bear in mind, if you are going to get pressured by cav, if you're Dutch, and you don't go for a stables, you go for a barracks, maybe just think in the back of your head, maybe I should be harbouring some wood so I can use some pikemen. But I am getting a shipment of pikemen here. 8 pikemen are on the way, and I've got 3 skirms queued up as well. Now I just want to pause it here because I think this is the downfall here in the early stages of the Lakota player. So you can see here that he's constantly focusing the TC. You can see that he's starting to run out of units. The ranged attack here is 90. Very, very powerful range attack from town centres. But you can see here that it's not good. They are constantly focusing my town centre. What they should have done is come out of the range of the town centre, and they should have taken a bank down, or they should have taken my barracks down and crippled me that way. Or they should have maybe run around here and just maybe see if there was any villagers maybe just still hiding and pick them off. Instead, he's just tunnel visioning, going straight for the TC. And what I've recently read a post that someone did on the ESO community page, and one of the main things they say is that you should really always prioritize their army first. The first thing to kill is their main army, then villagers, then like military buildings or houses, and then you focus the TC. TC is the last building that you focus, because if you start to destroy everything around them, they won't have any economy left to do anything anyway, and then they'll just give up. But anyway, that's one of the things that I noticed. But at this point, it was kind of interesting because I saw bow riders coming as well, and I'm thinking to myself, this is over. So I think at this point, I was saying to Vicious, I was like, it's over. This game's over. Like, let's just not bother with this game anymore. Like, and then he had a really, really great idea that maybe you should try and age up. So here's my pikemen coming out of the TC. So they're going to do some damage. They've taken 2 cav units down. The blowgunners are sort of doing some damage. I've got the skirms there that came out. I'm going to try and use them to take out some of the blowgunners. And I decide to eject my vills, which is kind of a bad idea. I lose another villy. I think that was one that I lost there. But the skirms there, I'm trying to use them to distract them away from my town centre because it's low. At this point, I've pretty much got enough here to get into the third age. So I'm talking to Vicious here, and the great thing about the Dutch is because we've got the banks and they're creating coin, if you have an excess of coin, use your market to trade quickly, so then you've got the food to be able then to age up. And I'm not too sure if I do that in this game, but just that's a good thing about the Dutch as well. And the thing is, he's not focusing the banks, so I'm just getting all this coin. So here we go, I've got enough there, and immediately I'm aging up. So I'm hoping that the TC can hold. And at this point, Vicious says to me, make sure that you use the hotkey that checks everyone's HP level. And mine is Alt. So if I hold Alt down, look, I do that, I then use the TC to select the lowest HP unit, so that then I can get that down as soon as possible. And that's what I was doing. That's another good tip as well. And you can use that for herding as well, so you don't kill all of the animals. And now I've got another TC shipment, and I'm getting 3 hussars out as well to hopefully help. I mean, they're not going to do much here because they've got some anti-cav. But I'm getting them out anyway. So it's going to take a while yet. It's going to take a while to get into the next stage. So we're still holding off. This is the problem. Like, he's just losing units here. I don't know whether he's macroing very well. Let me just quickly see the situation. See, he's got a lot of gold here. He's collecting a lot of gold, and he hasn't got a lot of food. But he's got 31 villagers. That's quite a lot. I've only got 16, so he's got double the amount of villagers. But my eco is still a lot higher. My overall score. That's because of my banks that are getting those resources in. There's actually clearing off here, and I think he goes around to see if there's any villagers around the base. I'm not too sure why he did that, but he's coming back in, and I use the opportunity just to gather up as much resources as I can, and then boom, the villagers are going back in, and the hussars are coming out now, but they're not going to be much use. So I use it to take down one axe rider, but you can see that the anti-cav there is really punishing them. I managed to take 2 cav down, and I'm using my TC now to just focus on the ones that are low HP. And you can see here that the chief here is very, very low. He's only got 146 health. And my explorer's back up, which is he's a good tanky-ish unit. So I'm going to use him to deal some damage. And the last unit is down. So there you go. So that's semi-successful. We're getting up into Fortress Age. Let's have a look at our opponent. Now look at the resources of the opponent. So he's used all those resources to try and push and win the game, and he's failed. And I'm nearly into the third age, and he is nowhere near yet at the right stage to get into the next stage. So we are actually now looking good. And I think pretty much for the majority of games, you can hold off the rush or the first wave well. You've definitely got a really, really good chance of actually winning the game. So anyway, let's switch back to me. Here we go. So I'm making sure now, right, my brain's a bit frazzled at this point. Vicious is helping me out, just making sure that I'm sort of prioritizing the right resources and stuff like that. So you can see I've got a huge amount of gold here, so I don't need those villies on that gold. I can take them off and get them onto food or potentially wood so that I can get another bank down. But you can see I'm putting a house down because I'm anticipating that I'm going to need military. So I'm getting a house down just in case. I've only got 12 pop. The halberdiers come out, which are a very strong unit, and that's why I aged up with. Because of the pressure, I aged up with the 6 halberdiers. They are very slow, however. So I don't know whether I'd recommend these units right now. Halberdiers are good. I think halberdiers are quite good late game when you need to siege buildings and stuff like that, and they can be a very strong front line. But I'm not too sure if going the halberdiers was the correct option, but at the time we were under a lot of pressure. So okay, so I've got another unit shipment there. My food and gold is looking pretty healthy right now. 700 and 700. Wood is low. So what we want to do is we want to be able to get as much wood out as we can. I've got a shipment of writers coming in. I think that's, yeah, delivering 9 writers, which is really good because I'm going to need it. Because look at this. The minute I see it, they're coming in. I've got 5 more writers in the stable coming. And now I've got a ton of cav coming at me again. Now, the main thing here is, I don't know whether this is the best thing to do, but I found if you just focus down the chief, it just helps a lot. Because he is essentially buffing all of their attack. Now, I don't know how much his buff provides. I don't know where he is. He's somewhere in these mix of troops. But yeah, if he's low, focus him down and just get rid of him. Because he provides, I don't know how significant it is, but, you know, it just provides more of an advantage. So anyway, annoyingly, he's sort of using, you can see there, he's sort of using his bowmen here, the bow riders, to take him out. And yeah, I mean, they don't actually counter the halberdiers, but because there's so many of them there, it's just really knocking them down. So I decided to move them out of the way because they're very slow and I just don't want to lose them. So my 9 riders come out here, so hopefully we'll start to get a bit of control. Popped one of the horses there, which is nice. And then another 5 come out, so now I've got 14 to try and challenge. So what I'm trying to do here is just a classic sort of kiting, so just going backwards and forwards, picking one off one by one, taking the axe riders out because they're the heavy cav, and my riders are going to be best against those, so that's what I'm trying to do. And you can see at this time, because I'm focusing on this micro so much, you can see all of 15 villagers here, just sat here, figuring out what they're going to do with their life. So yeah. But, you know, I can't multitask that well right now. But, yeah. You do see that I start to move them around a bit because I'm trying to do this. My halberdiers here are coming in, but I think they're getting, I don't know whether they are, but I think they're getting snared. I don't know whether the bow riders actually snare. I swear they were snaring them. Anyway, we're trying to take them out. These bow riders are pretty good. They've got a lot of HP compared to my riders. Riders only got 168. They've got 225. They're both anti-cav units, so it should be an even matchup, but the bow riders are definitely better than the riders. Anyway, you can see that I've got an issue with Pop, so I'm putting another house down. This is a big mistake for him here. Leaving Magic Shield here. Just sieging the stables. This is another big mistake by him as well, just leaving him here. He should always be guarding this explorer or hero unit with his life, and he loses him very quickly, and he's gone. Because I think he's a heavy cav explorer, so my writers dealt with him quite well. So you can see here that I'm getting another 5 writers on the way out of the stables. I'm constantly making sure to queue up villies, and I've got 1,000 wood on the way as well, to really help with the banks, to get 2 more banks down, because they're 350 each. That's 700 wood already gone. And also the wood's really good for like economic upgrades and unit upgrades and stuff like that. So, and houses is important as well, especially when you get into fortress. If you're Dutch, you're going to then want to start producing those units. either producer units or go straight into industrial. I think it's those sort of two options really. So you've got to make sure that you've got houses. I try and push out there. I just want to see what he had. Try and do sort of a counter offensive and just see what he had. He did have too much for me. So I'm just going to retreat back. And you can see I'm stockpiling a lot of food now and the wood's coming in. So my resources are doing quite well. He has actually overtaken me in eco and he's still age 2. If we go to here, you can see that now he's aging up. He's got 2 corrals, and that's it. That's all of his buildings. Marketplace, 2 corrals, and a town centre. And he does have both the trading posts here. But the thing is, what I could have potentially done is try to pick off these vills. These ones here. You know? He hasn't herded them in. He's got, for some reason... Yeah, that's kind of strange. He's got a tribal marketplace here. And he's got one here, but I don't know whether there's a limit. Maybe there is, that's why. Yeah. But like, for example, I could maybe try and get some writers in. Maybe see if I can put them in melee mode or something and just try and pick some villies off. Yes, he'll chase me, but maybe have like a little separate group, maybe about 5, 6, 7, 8 writers. Make them go around the base, distract them, and then push in with my main force. I could have done something like that. But, you know, hindsight is a wonderful thing. Right. So I'm thinking about here of getting a couple more banks. I'm thinking about a couple more military buildings as well with that wood. The gold is coming in quite nice, but I definitely need more banks. So my villies are idle there. Got 3 villies idle. I'm putting... Oh, that's it. A town centre. That's what 1,000 wood was for. So Vicious, who was coaching me, initially said, with that 1,000 wood, build 2 town centres with it. But then I said, well, don't you want a couple of banks? And he was like, well, I'm not sure. So I went with his idea and decided to put 2 town centres. So my initial thinking, I believe, was let's get 2 more banks with it. But I think he just sort of said, go with 2 town centres. So now we're really going to try and boom here and really get as many villies out as we can. We did lose a lot in the early stage, so getting these 2 town centres should really help us get them out quickly. And you can see here that he's now pushing in with his Axe Rider and Bow Rider combo. And I have about 26 riders here. So I'm just picking off the Axe Riders because I really don't want them to get near me. I accidentally move them in. And because he's moved over his Explorer, it's rezzed his Explorer or his hero unit. So I'm just trying to pick him off quickly first, which I do again. So I get another 100 XP, which is nice. And what I'm doing here is, you can see, because I've got 3 town centers now, I'm garrisoning those villies to help me with some extra fire to try and take down these units. And you can see I'm putting more villies in as well. There's quite a lot of these bow riders there. They're a lot more powerful than my riders, but at this point he's basically just got bow riders. So I thought to myself, what do bow riders? How do you counter bow riders? So I was getting really annoyed because his bow riders were clearing up my riders here. So I knew that I needed my skirmishers. And I think that's when I start to switch to skirms soon. Start to make skirms. Anyway, you can see that I've got another shipment coming in of riders. 7 now coming in. Those town centres are doing work though. They've got a really, really good range and they've got good damage. See how I'm just sort of making them walk around the town centre? And just take them out, and they're slowly dropping down now. Dropping off. You can see I've got a total of 18, I think that was. 18 writers. And I'm getting my villies back out, making sure that I keep up with the macro. If there's no direct danger, get your villies out. Don't keep them in there. That's what I'm trying to do. Trying to focus on a lot of wood here so I can try and maybe get some banks. I've got quite a bit of food. So that was quite successful. That was quite successful though. I like that. That was quite well done from me, I think. And I think I like the way that I've positioned my base here. I haven't put any walls up. That might be a thing that I should have probably done. Is to start to put some walls up. But I just sort of used my buildings primarily to to keep me safe. But if we just have a look at the opponent. See, I thought that he moved his cav off into the corner of the map here to raid. What he should have tried to do is try and split his army into all different directions and just try and raid all different directions. That's what he should have tried to do. Instead, he sort of kept them in one clump, one big ball, like one mass of troops. And I think that's what his downfall was. Anyway, let's get back into it. What we're putting down another barracks because, you know, I'm going to start to get a lot more resources in. I've got 2 TCs, so I'm expecting more villagers to be coming out, more resource gathering, which means I do not want a surplus of resources. So I'm getting that barracks down to help me with that. You can see I'm darting around quite a lot using my hotkeys. That's what I can really suggest to you guys. If you're new, like I am, try and just get used to using hotkeys for buildings, control groups for your units. It really, really helps. If you want to get in on the action quick, you double tap it and you're straight to your units. So I really, really recommend it. Anyway, so we've got a good little size of writers here. We are doing better on score now, so our economy is a little bit better overall. We've got a lot of people on gold with those banks, which has given us a lot of gold right now. But I should really focus maybe a few more villies onto wood because a bank is way better than a villager. If we just quickly pause, I'll just quickly show you this. So yes, I've upgraded coin gathering a little bit. So the villagers are now gathering at 0.75. But a bank is at 2.75. Okay. Which is 4 villagers. Nearly 4 villagers is one bank. So I think the best thing, if you want to prioritise, is get a couple of these villies off. Get the wood. Build a bank. Banks are way better than mines. Than actually mining it. Anyway, so I'm getting some skirms because I know that skirms will counter the anti-cav. So the bow riders and also the musket riders, which is the later game unit. So I know that I'm gonna need some skirms. And you've also got to bear in mind there's going to be no real threat from any sort of artillery. Because Lakota I don't think Lakota have any artillery at all. They have their axe riders which have super siege damage in the later game. But apart from that, I don't think they actually have any proper artillery. So we don't need to worry about that too much. Okay, so I'm just sort of moving my villies over there to the gold area. I was a bit nervous because that is out there in the middle of nowhere. And I decided to try and herd those deer over there so I can get them just closer to the base. Because I really need that food and I do not want to have to build mills. Mills is like your last thing. Like, mills are great in the sort of later game when you're in like industrial and that. But I think that, you know, try and use as many hunts as you can without seriously endangering your vills. So try and herd them as much as you can, and that's what I think I'm trying to do here. So I'm just getting some houses because I know I'm going to be getting some troops, so I'm just making sure. You can see I'm spamming skirms, and I'm still making sure I'm getting those villagers. And our eco is starting to take off a bit now. You can see that 17,000 score to 15,000, so I'm feeling pretty good at the moment. That's always a good sort of sign from an economical perspective. Looking at your score, you can see his score just jumped up majorly there. I don't know what he did, but it just jumped up. This guy's got a ton of food. He's putting down an estate now because he's mined all of his gold. He's actually got, I didn't even notice this. What is this? He's actually, see, look, I could have just had a little look around, a little search, and I could have found some villagers and picked them off. Here, look, in the middle of nowhere. Really, really exposed. But I didn't. But look at this, what's coming, look. 27 units and 27 anti-cav units and 10 axe riders. So let's see how this goes. So I can see the mass on my mini-map now coming in. Going to the trade post, I think. I mean, that's quite a good thing from him to do, to try and harass me, to bring me out, to try and fight, is to take down the trade post. I would suggest that if you're quite aggressive. Attack a trade post and most people will come out to try and challenge you for it if you want to draw them out. And you can see his axe riders here just getting ready to take down the skirms. My riders, I really want to focus on getting them, getting those axe rider kills. And you can see here, this is bad for me here. So this looks really bad at the moment. So we've got it mixed up. We got it round the wrong way. My rioters should be here. My skirmishers should be here. But that's not happening. So you can see they've got a range attack of 18. They've got 20. And they have no bonus or anything against my rioters, but they've just got way more health. Look at that. 292 health. Crazy health. So, yeah, my skirms here are not going to look too good. So I get a bit frustrated here with the whole microing. I'm losing all my skirms here. They're all going. Those axe riders are absolutely doing work on my skirmishers. But I do get into a little nook here, which is quite nice. So I use this little nook here that I've made with my buildings to try and block them off. I sit the rioters here so I can try and pick off the axe riders here, and then I can bring my skirmishers either round here or around here to try and take down the rifle riders and the bowmen. So you can see that's kind of what I'm doing. Annoyingly, they moved the wrong way. I wanted them to move back, but because of the pathing and everything and the rioters were in the way, it didn't really work out like that, unfortunately. But I managed to... I'm just holding here. I've got some village garrisoned, and I'm using the town centres to try and shoot them down. As you can see, those two town centres there are doing some work. And I'm managing to actually... You know, those skirmishers have held on. There's 4 skirms, I think, and they've held on, which is really, really good. Yeah. So you can see they're just sort of going back to sieging that. Their siege damage is really low. I think siege damage is only 12, so... Here you go. So my skirms with their range are doing a lot of work there to the cav, which is awesome. So I'm focusing more now on my skirms, because I know that he's probably going to be transitioning into like rifle riders predominantly. So I need to make sure that I've got plenty of skirms, because if I do miss micro, I do not want to just lose all of them. So I need to make sure that I've got a lot. So you can see here I'm up to 33 villagers so far. So I still need to keep making villagers, which I'm doing. It's taken me a while to sort of get back up to where I need to be. You can see that the enemies, he's only on 46, which is quite low. He's got a ton of food that he's holding, 2,400. So I think his problem here is he's just not macroing enough. He's not getting another town centre up. He's not really producing tons of villagers. And he's just focusing on gold, man. He needs his gold. Anyway, here we go. So you can see here another fight. So he's got a lot of anti-cav now. He has got some axe riders, but way more anti-cav mix. So this should be better for me because my skirms do a lot of damage. So let me just see the rifle riders quickly. Okay, so they do a base of 20 damage. And the bowmen, they do 26. Okay, yeah, cool, that's fine. But the skirmishers here are doing way more damage. So I've got more skirms coming out, which is really, really good to try and help here. My riders, I mean, I could have maybe put the riders into melee combat potentially. I mean, what's their melee? They haven't actually got... It doesn't actually say what their melee attack is, but maybe I could have done that and it would have prevented them from shooting, and I could have used my skirms then to clear them up, because attacking them would have actually snared them, I think. So then it would have been more difficult to run away. So maybe I should have done that. Anyway, I'm getting quite confident here. Kind of amazed actually that it's actually working, which is kind of crazy. So, and at this point, I sort of push forward because I think that I can maybe do a counter attack. Now, I just want to see what he's actually... So he's actually got nothing here at all. He's got no military, but he's definitely got some units on the way, and he's building a third corral, which is kind of crazy. He's got 48 villagers. I've got 35. So I see that I've got a ton of idols there because I was actually in that engagement. So I moved them over to gold. I still don't have 5 banks, I don't think. I think I've only got 4 banks, which is really, really bad. I've got enough resources for a 5th bank. So that's something that I sort of forgot about. Because because I wouldn't need as many vils on gold if I had a full bank. So you can see here I do a little block there. I block with the riders to make it harder for the axe riders to get in. I could have moved the skirmishers back here to allow a bit of space, and that's what I eventually do. You can see that I sort of retreat here because they've still got quite a force and I don't want to push it just yet. And he's actually going out and pushing further. So, but yeah, he does push back because he knows that he should know that my eco is better than his, so he just needs to be careful. At this point, Joe actually says to me, why don't you build a dock? I think it was Joe or Vicious, or maybe both of them said, look, you've got the wood, stick a dock down and get even more eco. And that's exactly what I do. So I start to put a dock down. I could have put that down a lot earlier, but I was just sort of more focused on military units. You can see that I've got 21 vils on food, which is kind of, with Dutch, you really want to have a ton of people on food. Pretty much just food and wood. Majority food, moderate amount on wood, and a small amount of people on gold. Because you should be, at least have 5 banks, you know, that should be producing a lot of your gold for you. And I just found some settlers there. Not settlers, I found some skirmishers that came from my home city shipment. It's quite funny. So they were just sitting around there. I didn't even know they were there. So I'm pulling them in. You can see I've got a home city shipment waiting here. But I think I'm holding this off. Actually, no, I don't actually get 600 wood. But I'm looking like I'm in an okay position potentially to get into industrial. Because my eco's sort of taking off. I've got a good amount of military. And I think I'm still sort of struggling to sort of know when the best time is to age up. Even with Fortress and Industrial. More with Industrial. I'm sort of struggling to know when the best time is to age up. So nothing much going on right now. I'm just sort of massing troops. I do have a couple of idols. They're down here. So I sort of pretty much tasked them onto wood. Because I'm going to be getting some fishing boats and stuff. I do see he comes down here, which is quite good of him. So I haven't actually walled this off. So he comes down here, but he's not going to get much. I'm putting him into the TC. He immediately goes for these stables, which is interesting. So my skirms have quite a good range. So I know that I'm going to be in a good position. I do use the riders to pick off the chief again. So the axe riders once again focusing on my riders, which he shouldn't be. His axe riders should be focusing on my skirms. So I move back. The chief is down again, so I get a lot of XP. The aura is now gone, so it's more in my favour. And I've got a lot of skirms here, and he hasn't got a lot of axe riders left. So I'm using the riders here, the small amount that I have left, to clear up the axe riders. And then the skirms are going to hopefully clear up the rest of the rifle riders. Doing quite a good job here. See, once again, axe riders are going to the wrong unit. So he's sort of microing here. And I don't know what he does here. He sort of moves in. Maybe he should have meleeed them. I don't know what he should have done there. But yeah, he's gonna lose them. And now that I knew that I won that fight, I've got my vils out. I could have got them out actually a lot earlier, to be honest. And you can see those villagers there, they've already mined all of that gold. So now I'm just sort of, I've got quite a good bunch of units, and I won another battle. So that's the second battle now that I've won in a row, which is good news for me. And his eco, because of that loss, and potentially not macroing that well, now I'm looking at 18,000 or 19,500 against 15,000. So it's getting quite significant now, that gap. So it's making me feel more and more confident as we go. But, you know, they can easily come back if they win a fight very well and they micro well, and I lose my whole army, you know, they can easily win the game. We just need to still be careful. But I'm just sort of focusing on the fishing boats there and making sure that I focus on gold. I was talking to Joe and Vicious, and they said that getting the gold is most important first. But it means, as I say, if I can fish more of the gold from the whales, it means I can take more off of the gold mines and I can put them on to wood or food. You can see my skirmishers have walked off to the left there from the home city shipment, and I haven't even realised because of the TC rally point. I think they're going to be stuck there for quite a while. Oh no, I found them. It's because the villager was idle. That's the only reason I found that. Okay, so we're looking like we're going to get pop capped again, and I've only got 200 wood, so probably need to get a couple of houses down. As I say, I would constantly look at this. Obviously not constantly, but very, very often. Very, very often. Just keep looking at your resources, your pop, your villager count. I've now actually capped my villagers. Well, I've got one more to get, but capped. Which is really, really good news. That's good for me. I'm basically maxed out pretty much on the villagers I can get. I know that there's some shipments and age ups that you can use to get a couple more villagers, but pretty much I'm in a good position. I've got an arsenal down there to get me some more infantry and cavalry upgrades. Got my fishing boat here. So we're looking good. You can see I've actually surpassed him now in villagers, which is not good, because I've got my banks also collecting stuff. You can see that he's struggling for food now. You can see that he's got way too much gold, and he's struggling for food, and he's gone to farms. He's got plenty of wood to put 2 more farms down and get some people off of gold. But yeah, he really doesn't have. I could have just pushed in now and ended it, but you know, I didn't really scout. I probably should have scouted a little bit more. So I decided to put some walls down, because just in case he tries to do what he did before, I've at least got a wall in the way. And I've got quite a mass here. So it's looking pretty good. Just going to speed it up a little bit here, because there's nothing much here really going on. Okay. Let's just speed it up a little bit. You can see that we've got a significant amount of forces now. I've just used that gold mine again. I've got villagers idle off in the left there who are hunting. I think I start to bring some villagers over to the hunting area over here, try and herd them. I mean, he could have tried to contest it, potentially, and taken those animals, but he didn't. We're just going to speed up a bit, because there's not much going on here. All it is I'm just sort of herding some animals, building up my military. I've got a ton of gold here, probably way too much, so I need to take villagers off of gold and put them onto food. I've got way too many. That's something that I could probably work on there. Put them onto wood, maybe get some more fishing boats. I actually get a warship there. I can't remember what it's called. I use it just to scout if they've actually got a dock, because I was quite interested. I didn't actually scout if they had a dock. So, but yeah, just hunting. Look at that. A lot of food here. And I've got enough now to get into industrial off the back of what I'm doing. And that's what I do. So I'll start to get in the industrial age, I think. Don't know what age up it is. The Viceroy? I don't know what that is. I think that might be the 1,000 gold. And I've got a ton of units now. I just want to see what he's got at the moment. So he has got a mass. Yeah, he's actually done quite well. He's only got 2 or 3 extra villagers since the last time I saw. So his villager production is really lacking. He definitely needed more TCs, I think, to help him out. And he's simply just gone to the plantations and the farms because he's run out of gold, because the amount of gold he's been spending on his cav. And you can see that I'm using the ship now, moving it out. Look all that, look. Before I even age up, I'm already got nearly 2,000 gold and 2,000 food again. It's crazy. The amount of gold that you get as Dutch, it's nuts. But there's one thing that I should have done, is I should have got more banks. I should have put a church down and got the church upgrades, which would have given me a +2 on my limit for banks, which I didn't do. I think, I don't know if I've got, do I actually have 5 banks? I do have 5 banks, yeah. But I could definitely have more. Anyway, I put some walls up. And I'm just speeding up quite a lot here. Now, I'm seeing that he moves in. He's moving in here. I'm not too sure what he's planning on doing, but I'm now in the 4th age, and I think when I got into the 4th, it sort of gave him the cue to try and push in to try and see if he could take me, because I've recently aged up. Anyway, I think I'm going to be getting some military upgrades here. Yes, I do. You can see that I'm getting the carabiners, which is the rifle upgrade. And I think this, yeah, the time's getting on, so I think this is going to be the final fight here. So this is perfect for me now. So do you remember the battle a few battles ago where we were over here, and it was round the wrong way, and I had my axe riders against my skirms, which was definitely a horrible counter for me, and I had the anti-cav against the riders. This is actually perfect here for me. I've got them facing the exact right way here. Perfect counter for me, and this is going to be the GG here. Just the amount of writers that I got, I don't think his anti-cav could actually kill all of them, and I think they're just about to be upgraded as well. They're just about to click now. There you go, and now they're 2, 4, 5. And the skirmishers are just doing a really good amount of work here. They do double damage against these guys. So you can see. I mean, Lakota still did quite well in that battle, but there's just too many riders left over. So. And then I'm just putting a couple of stables down for the resources, because I've got so many resources. Just putting more military buildings down. And just finish off the rest of his units. And then the GGs are thrown. And he's just got a ton of axe riders, which is just going to be countered by my riders. That's it. That's the end of the game. Right, so that's the end of the game. That is it. A nice game there. I was really happy with myself. You know, all I can say is thank you to Joe and Vicious for the coaching. It really helped. Just sort of making sure that, you know, reminding me that I've got Villy's idol, that, you know, I should potentially be getting this sort of resource, that sort of resource. And it's sort of with that, it sort of really helped me sort of understand what I need to prioritize as playing the Dutch. So as I say, this can work for any sort of civ. It's just trying to defend. Defending rushes is super important. And if you can learn how to do that, then it really helps. So that's going to be it. I hope you guys really enjoyed that video of that replay run through. Let me know what you think of the video and if I should do more of this down below. You guys have been supporting the channel. You guys have been absolutely awesome. Putting your comments down, liking the video, you know, and recognizing me on Reddit, on Twitch. So I really appreciate it. Thank you guys. And also, as I say, make sure to catch me on Twitch at Widgie1. Have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next video.